Welcome to Guide Mia. Today we're going to talk about enrolling a patient in ortho monitoring. This one is for orthodontists, general dentists running clear aligner cases, and practice managers who want progress photos between visits instead of guessing until the next appointment. By the end, you'll know how to share an aligner case with a patient as a monitoring subject, how the patient captures their photo rounds on a phone, and how to verify that the first round came back framed correctly, plus the 2 numbers you should hand the patient before they ever open the camera. Plan about 5 minutes for your first enrollment and 30 seconds per patient after that. Follow along on screen, or just listen now and read the written guide later. The idea in one sentence: the patient takes structured photos of their own mouth on a schedule, and you review those photos against the treatment plan, because every round is registered against the planned tooth positions, not just floating in a camera roll. That registration is why the prerequisite matters. The case must have a saved plan file, since the plan positions are the target the patient's photos line up against. And it's worth being clear about what monitoring is not. It doesn't replace planning. Ortho monitoring sits on top of an existing case with a finished plan. If you don't have a case ready yet, create one from an existing scan, or import a plan from Ortho Plus or Studio first, then come back here. 3 things to have ready. First, the case, an aligner or orthodontic case in Cympha with a finished treatment plan saved on it. Second, the patient's email address, because the enrollment travels by email. Third, and this is the one people skip and regret, 2 numbers, the patient's treatment start date, and how many days each step runs. Here's why. The very first time the patient uses the camera flow, Cympha asks them for exactly those 2 values. If they're guessing, every photo lands keyed to the wrong treatment step and your comparisons drift. If you hand them the numbers up front, written on the aligner bag, if that's what it takes, the whole system calibrates itself correctly from round 1. The enrollment itself is the patient share you may already know from the treatment plan lecture. Open the case from your case list at app, cympha.com. In the case header, near the status and category badges, sits the Share to Patient button. It appears only on orthodontics, AlignerBot, and clear alignered AI cases, right next to the regular Share button, which is for colleagues, not patients. Click it and the Share with Patient dialog opens with 2 fields, the patient's email and which plan file to share. Only plan files are listed. Click Send Invitation. A new patient gets an invitation linking to patient sign-up. A returning patient gets a notification linking to sign-in, and their existing account is reused. What they'll see after signing in is deliberately narrow, a page listing only the case you just shared. No other patients, no other cases, no editing tools. Step 3 happens in conversation, not on a screen, and it's where good enrollments are made. Ortho monitoring keys every photo round to a treatment step. On the patient's first capture, Cympha asks them when treatment started and how many days each step runs, then proposes the current step number, which the patient can confirm or adjust. So when you hand over the aligners, give the patient those 2 values explicitly and agree how often you want a round of photos. Many clinicians simply line the photo rhythm up with the patient's tray changes, a new tray, a new round, because the habit is already there and the timing is clinically meaningful. 30 seconds of conversation here buys you months of correctly labeled photos. Here's what the patient actually does so you can describe it chairside with confidence. They open the shared plan and start the camera flow. 5 orientations appear as tiles: front, left, right, upper, and lower. They pick one and 2 things happen. The 3D plan rotates to the matching view, and the camera opens with the plan jaws drawn semi-transparently behind the live feed. The patient's job is beautifully intuitive. Line up your real mouth with the plan mouth, then snap. Repeat for each orientation. A complete round takes about a minute on a phone. That translucent overlay is the secret to photo quality. Patients who understand they're aligning to it produce consistent, comparable rounds. Patients who ignore it produce the framing problems we'll troubleshoot in a moment. When the first round lands, verify it. From the case detail page, open the case's Studio workspace links and pick the ortho monitoring workspace. You'll see the 3D plan on one side and the patient's photo on the other. Play through the steps in the case bar, and the matching photo follows the current step automatically. Cycle the orientations to check front, left, right, upper, and lower for each step. One honesty guarantee worth knowing: if the patient hasn't captured a given step, the panel says no photo for that phase, yet it never silently substitutes an older photo. What you're looking at is always from the step it claims to be from, which also means gaps in compliance are visible instead of hidden. A skipped round shows up as a skipped round. 3 things to check in that first round, in order. Framing. The patient's mouth should occupy roughly the same proportion of the frame as the 3D model does. If the photo is wildly off-axis, head tilted, mouth too far away, The patient probably ignored the alignment overlay, and a quick note about lining up to the rendered jaws fixes it. Lighting. Phone camera flash on close-up dentition is harsh. Soft, natural light, or a bathroom mirror with overhead light works better. And lip retraction. If lips are hiding the buccal corridors, checking attachment seating and bracket position gets harder. A cheek retractor helps but isn't required, and most patients do fine with their thumbs. If the first round is rough, don't be discouraged. Coach the patient before the next one. Most patients improve dramatically on round 2 once they understand what the overlay is for. From here, the system compounds quietly. Every round the patient saves lands on the case, keyed to the treatment step it was taken at, and the monitoring playback lets you scrub the plan and the photos side by side across the whole treatment. Missed rounds stay visible rather than hidden, so compliance is something you can see, not something you have to ask about. And when treatment completes, the photo history stays on the case for the record. On privacy, the boundaries are firm. Every photo lives inside the patient's case in your Cympha account, the same private storage that holds the case's design files, and the patient role provisioned at first sign-in has no access to other patients, no access to colleague cases, and nothing beyond the specific plan you shared. For situations cover most support conversations. The patient got the invitation but can't sign in. The invitation sits against the exact address you entered, so if they historically use a different email, resend to the one they actually use, or have them sign in with the original. The photos look wildly different from the plan. Check 3 causes in order. First, a wrong treatment step, so confirm the start date and days per step they entered on first use. Second, genuine tracking deviation, which is the entire reason you're monitoring. Third, a framing problem, which the coaching checklist fixes. The case isn't showing in the patient's workspace. Verify the case has a saved plan file and that the share completed without error. The share is tied to a specific finished plan, and if none was saved, the patient workspace has nothing to load. And monitoring a non-aligner case, not supported. Registration needs planned tooth positions, and the entry point only appears on aligner categories. That's the whole protocol. Share the plan, hand over 2 numbers, let the overlay do the teaching, and verify round 1 in the studio workspace. After the first patient, enrollment really is a 30-second habit, and the payoff compounds because every tray change from then on can come with photos you review on your own schedule instead of waiting for the next chair visit. If you haven't watched the treatment plan sharing lecture, it pairs naturally with this one, same button, different destination, and the docs also link a deeper cookbook on the doctor side 3D playback experience when you're ready to go further. Everything from today, every prompt the patient sees, every check for the first round, is written out at cympha.com. Open the doc section and find how to enroll a patient in ortho monitoring. We're walking through every Cympha workflow, one lecture at a time, so subscribe if you'd like the rest of the series as it lands. Thanks for watching, and see you in the next one.